welcome back to the program. Let's head now to the dailies and see what the papers are saying. Adeni Fetara joins us live on the program, Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you indeed, as always, Mr. Fetara, for joining us here on the program.
Yeah, good morning. It's my pleasure.
Maybe in 30 seconds or less, this issue of Mr. President's credential and that omission, it doesn't seem to go away. Nigerians really would have perhaps preferred that Mr. President, come clean and open with which primary and secondary school he attended. I mean, Mr. Professor, I think. Okay, well.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
We can hear you now.
I didn't hear your last statement.
Yes, I was just asking. I mean, Nigerians would have loved to see which secondary and primary school Mr. President attended. Why is this such a big deal?
No, for me, it shouldn't be a big deal. Like they said, either must come to equity, must come with a clean hands. And if party A or party B or candidate A or candidate B is bringing their from primary, secondary, and higher institution or whatever special courses that you attended or that make up for whether your primary or secondary education, you should come clean about it, table everything. And it's not just only in Nigeria, even when the issue of the birth of Barack Obama, former president of America, everything was printed out. So you have colleagues, or even if you cannot remember them, at least the institution, we know there are some maybe primary school in those days. Just come clean about it so that we can take that one out of the way and know what we are doing and which candidate are we voting for.
Yeah. Well, the coming weeks will be really interesting so long as the countdown to the 2027 elections is concerned. But let's take a look at this. Nigeria this morning, it leads with that very essential story that concerns the average Nigerian. State Police Executive Bill lands on Tinubu's desk September 3. Presidential Committee warns it must not become 36 militias. I wonder what you make of this story, the fact that the federal government has given more like a 7-week window for Nigerians to contribute and participate in this bill.
Yes, I was listening to your analysis, which was rightly so, saying that Nigerians should take the window, the opportunity, to make their own contribution based on the experience, especially average Nigerians, based on their experiences, from the hand of police or what they think they can do better. And of course, my own intent would be that they should make it local. Since we are talking about state police, it shouldn't be the way that you bring somebody from Borno State to come ahead the state police in Ogun State. So let it be someone who knows every nook and cranny of the particular state, and as well whatever it is that when it comes to the issue of funding as well, it needs to be addressed. I heard you people talking about, especially the front line, saying that the governors or whoever, the state actors, should not make it their militia just to intimidate or to win an election and all of that. So all those things should be looked into. And another thing I would suggest that in all the 774 local governments in Nigeria, there should be a kind of sensitization. These are some of the people, they are going to their farm, whatever. Sometimes you pass through the road, the way they are being extorted and all of that. So all those things, they should make some contribution in as much as is something that will affect them locally. And I think the campaign also should be taken to grassroots as well, so that they will know what they are saying, what they are talking about. But of course, and I also like what you guys said, that maybe the producer, not just your channels alone, your TV station alone, other TV station, should follow suit. If it is weekly or in 3 days or bi-weekly, to make sure you are sensitizing the people. This is an opportunity so that we can get it right, because the nation Nigeria belongs to all of us.
Absolutely. The country belongs to all of us. So we'll do our very best to sensitize the people because personally, when I looked at the Electoral Act, if we were alert, there are certain things would have flagged. In fact, there are certain things that even happened in certain places that some of us raised questions and some things where you look at it again and again. But let's go to the Guardian newspaper. FG orders pass burden of economic growth, stability to state governors. That's the post reforms now. FG orders pass burden of economic growth, stability to state governors. I think it's a valid call, even though it's nobody can be exonerated from the entirety of, because we're running a federation. But I think we focused a lot on the federal government that we forget that the bulk of the money actually is at the state and the local government. That's the truth. When you combine the money that is given to the state and the local government compared to the federal government, you know that of course the federal government policy has very serious effect on all of us. But what do you make of this?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think it was about 3 days or 4 days ago when I can't remember, last week, so to say, when the president met with the former governors and some traditional leader, saying that the kind of a fund that were released to all the state governors, that is enough for them to make an impact in their various states. And just like you said, a lot of us look at the federal government, and because we feel that the buck stops at their table. But what has been given to some of these state governors, I think it's high time we begin to ask. In the last 3 months, what have you received so far? What have you used, with the resources, with the taxpayers' money? It's just that most of the time we don't ask a question. Or some of the state governors, they pay party politics because we are not in the same party. I'm not getting what have you been given so far? What have you done with it? I prefer a situation where state governors, just like Minister of FCT, monthly media chat, come on your local radio or TV station and say, this is what we have gotten so far, internally generated revenue, allocation from the federal government, special grant. We collected 20 naira, 2 naira have been using for this project and that. So Nigeria can trust them more. The Nigeria can see that transparency. But because they have so many things to hide, of course, the federal government, they know what they were releasing. Just like President said that what are being released to this state governor is like ×4 or ×5 during those former governor tenure. So it is high time we begin to ask questions. Not just only the not alone, senator, House of Rep, and you talk about the issue of local government. Even despite the fact that the fund of local government should be, released to them directly, it will. You won't be surprised that almost, I may be wrong, almost local government fund has been paid state government who determine what they will do or how much they will get. It shouldn't be like that because local government are the closest to the people, to the grassroots. So if we are not feeling the economy impact at the grassroots level, we need to ask more questions from the governor, from House of Rep member, even from the local government chairman that were elected. What are you doing? Because based on the government, based on the Supreme Court ruling, you should get your fund directly. What are you doing with what have been released to you?
So I wonder who perhaps it's better fit to hold the governors to account, the people or Mr. President?
Both they have a role, and I think on the part of the Mr. President to transparency matter a lot. These are the amounts that have been released to state governors so far. So ask them questions what they are using it for. But sometimes you see that the president too, they need some of these governors to win their election or to run some of their campaigns. So they try to shy away. They can just say it, just grease over it. But people need to ask questions as well, because just like we said, whether the state or the country belongs to all of us, we are all stakeholders directly or indirectly.
Well, to be by law, the president really has no right to ask them what they are using their money for. His job is to release their money to them. The highest he can do is to appeal to them to be responsible because it's a constitutional issue. The job of asking those questions first rests on the National Assembly, who represent those constituencies. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of those state assemblies, I should say, a lot of those state assemblies, sadly and respectfully, are appendages of the governor who do little to nothing in terms of holding these governors to account. So that is where the failure of institution comes in. The president can't even stop allocation. What President Obasanjo did in that time was illegal. You can't stop state allocation because it's a constitutional issue. Yeah. The highest you can do is appeal to them to be responsible.
Yes, of course, I know. I'm not saying you should stop their allocation. Yeah, of course, appeal to them and also be transparent about it. 20 naira has been released to this state, 10 naira has been released to this state. So it's left for the people, or just like you said, State House of Assembly, with all due respect, they say who pays the piper dictate the tune. Most of them are the appendage of the governor. So whatever the governor says, they are going to, but it's just a fail of the institution, to work on their own. We just see how it goes. But people must ask questions, because if you keep silent, it shows that you agree with what they are doing.
Well, Daily Trust gets our attention next, Mr. Ifetayo. It leads with this story. We paid 50 million naira to secure Kebbi judge's release. That's a revelation by the family. We paid 50 million naira to secure Kebbi judge's release. That's the family speaking there. 50 million was paid. And that's perhaps the experience for a lot of Nigerians who have had family members, friends, or associates, or community members, village members, church or mosque members being kidnapped. It's the new oil, Mr. Fetayo, in Nigeria.
Yes, I can say because government, they are not doing enough, because the responsibility of government is to, protect lives and property, of course, the welfare as well. Because the loved one, they are the first point of call, and that these terrorists or kidnapper, they are going to call and say, we need so amount of money. But I don't know whether I should campaign for this, since they said if there can be a way of government, intervening on time before this thing will degenerate, that it's become lucrative. And of course, sometimes when they make some arrests and all of that, I've not seen enough prosecution of those kidnappers, that can serve as a deterrent, that is not a business venture, that somebody can be coerced, or one youth or somebody somewhere can be, influenced to partake on these unholy activities. There's no amount of money people can pay so much just to get their family returned back to them, hale and hardy, and they don't want to be, maybe, of course, it might be the breadwinner of the whole family. They need to do whatever they need to do. We hear they will say, don't negotiate with terrorists, don't negotiate with terrorists. But when the family are helpless, when they don't have anything to do, no assurance from the government, sometimes they do what they need to do just to get their, the head of the family or their breadwinner back home safe. And it's just an experience somebody want to go through. We are currently happy to the government to do more, to protect more lives and property, because that's why we voted them into power.
Well, the debate over payment and no payment is going to continue. However, Anindi, you mentioned something. The government, apparently, we've said it over and over, not doing enough, but there are efforts being made. But I know there are convictions lately, several convictions that have been secured by the court. The State Security Service has secured those convictions, and we're expecting more convictions for those that have been arrested, and those that we have to book a date with, which is the one we prefer anyway. We can book a date with them and their maker, especially during those points. It's going to be better. But there are convictions that have been recorded by the Nigerian state from these terrorist organization. But let's go to the Vanguard. Yes.
Yeah, so some of these convictions, I was having a conversation with somebody who said that sometimes is a conviction by relations. For example, a terrorist, a Boko Haram kidnap your family and say, go and buy fuel, go and bring this, and because they can only see some of those traces, you become an accused person and you want to be convicted and all of that. Anyway, I'm not saying they are not doing their best, but I'm just saying that they are not doing enough. They could do better than this, and just to secure Nigeria state.
All right. Lastly, let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. Cardinal Michael, I think he's just spoken one more time. He said, Nigerians' quality of life took us to Tinubu. Says, we're done talking. Tell president to govern better. You know, the salvo that ensued. Well, the cardinals told them, I know the bigger, and it's going to be a conversation for this election. The federal government is always presenting the macro numbers to say this is the foundation to what will compound to the micro. But the fact also shows that those compounding effects have not arrived. We have a lot of working poor Nigerians, 5% unemployment. So we have and then 63 to 70% poor people, whether it's multidimensional poverty that has to do with access or literal poverty that has to do with income poverty, all are in red, greater than green. So he said this is why we went to the president to tell him the truth. And he mentioned something that sometimes the reaction of the presidency kind of give credence to what he said. He said it's like the president's not used to being told the truth. And you see how they came with salvo and some of his aides at him. What do you make of this back and forth?
Yeah, you know, sometimes Nigerians too, they say that some of our religious leaders, they are not talking, they are not saying anything. And I'm glad when I saw the Catholic Bishop Conference of Nigeria, you know, that they are concerned about what is going on in Nigeria, and that's the reason why they went there. Like the cardinal said, we are not there just to preach or just, but to see what Nigerians are going through. Of course, some of those people around Mr. President, sometimes they don't tell them the truth. In as much you are making progress, you won't say because you are a father, once I pay school fees, I'm done with my responsibility over my kids. No, you have to be all-rounder to give them a wholesome. So that is why he's being voted for. And I remember I said it vividly that we should not pity him. He asked for the job. So we are asking him to do the job that he was voted for. Telling the president to govern better is not too much to ask for. Of course, sometimes some of the spokesperson, with all due respect to their office, the way they come after some people or an individual, you know, who say the truth. And like they said, that the truth is sometimes, not sometimes, always harsh and painful. But I felt that they should look at it and say that we can do better, and these are the things that we are doing that will get us to where we are promised, or the Renew Hope agenda that we promise Nigerians. Just like you said, average Nigeria, they are not feeling it, and you are telling me that you are doing your best. I mean, your best is not enough. Of course, let's see what we play out, because these are part of the conversation going to the 2027 election.
Well, once it looks set in this period, it looks like major clerics are beginning to speak out. Bishop David Oyedepo is also in the news. He's been trending. He's blasted the government yesterday. I think the PFN chairman or president to Bishop Wale Ketu has been talking tough as well. So I think we need more of these clergymen to speak their truth to power. We almost anchor this point. Thank you, as always, for your analysis and insights. Mr. Adeni Efeta, public affairs analyst. Thank you,